Okay, today's subject will be Marvels on Black Widow. And this is Life is Art channel. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are having a nice day or whatnot. I said I'd do something a little different this time, as far as from a tutorial standpoint, to start explaining some of the techniques and things like that, as opposed to just drawing. Okay. So as you can see here, we have a very clear outline. We're going to start going and adding the sections where we're going to have the contrast between the highlights in the hair. And we'll be using an indentation tool. So you can also follow me at Life is Art on Facebook, Ricardo Turk Davis on Instagram, and of course Life is Art YouTube. Website is pretty much almost up and running. I'll be selling products and things like that. So this tool I use as an indentation tool. You can go through and as opposed to drawing every strand of actual hair, we're going to use this indentation tool to make sure that when you go over it with a base layer, the indentation, the graphite won't get into it, so it'll look like actual strands of hair. Okay, so this is a very easy hack to use and utilize to make sure you can get the best result. So as you can see from the hair here, the only thing you have to be careful with the indentation tool is just to make sure that you actually don't go back and forth. It's all gradual strokes, even strokes as closely as possible, because you don't want to see like you have clumps of hair. You want strands of hair. Okay, so now looking at this is the base layer. We're doing the actual lips now. Notice how I'm very lightly, I could have easily taken a 2B or 4B. This is a B pencil, and I'm just going over it, right? Just making a very light base layer, because this is going to be the foundation, and it's always easier to draw and do things in layers. Notice the lips don't have a harsh outline. If you give them a harsh outline, that would literally make it look like an actual cartoon. Okay, and we don't want to do that. So we're going to take now this little light makeup brush, and we're just going to actually smooth these out. We want to make sure, again, we don't have an actual hard line outlining the actual lips, or any portion of the face for that matter. Even later when we do the jawline, you're going to see that it's going to have some dark contrast, and it's going to be a lot of gradation going upward, because that'll be the shadow. But you'll notice that it's going to be a gradual blend and not just a harsh dark outline with like an 8B pencil or something like that. Okay, so you're just looking for tone and tonality, just tone. Gradation is just from dark to light. Okay, so as you can see, we're going over it. Now we're going to do the actual inside, the crease where the mouth opens. We're going to take a 2B pencil. I'm going to go through. Notice it's not an 8B pencil. It's not an actual hard outline. It's just a light outline going through to show us where the separation would actually be. And then we can start adding actual value underneath, graphite underneath, to start showing the value and the tonality of the actual lips. We want to give it volume and tone. Because remember, we're drawing on a 2D sheet of paper, and we're just using shadows, varying shadows and light to give the illusion of actual 3 dimensions. Okay? So if you can look there, it's not too dark, it's not a harsh outline. You can see it's almost like a little jagged appearance to it, because that's how the actual lips are. And then we'll come back and we'll do some gradation on it. Okay, so now we're going to take a 2B pencil. This is a Staedtler 2B pencil. Any pencil will work, as long as the more variety you have in pencils, the better. Okay, so I'm going to speed this up a little bit, as you can see. So now we're starting to see a little bit more realism to the actual lips. And we'll see we put that gradation in. We're going to put some lines in, because all lips have creases and things like that, right? Notice no harsh outline at the very top, though. We're going to smooth that right on out. Same thing with the bottom. You know, we're going to smooth it right on out. Now we'll take that 2B, another 2B pencil, and go through it, put some lines in, and this to tell you we're going to blend that. We don't want harsh outlines. And then we'll go right back with a 0 eraser or typewriter eraser, which is what you're seeing here, and we'll start to add the highlights. And that's going to give it more of a realistic look. Take that brush, go right back over it. Also, as you can see, this blending stump right here that we're using, it's a very old blending stump, and it's pretty dark. So I don't throw away blending stumps. I have tons of them, hundreds of them, but I don't throw them away. If they're dark, just use them for dark artwork. And this is that harsh, what appears to be a harsh outline, as you can see, but we're going to use some gradation on it. I've learned just different techniques or whatnot, using a car chamois and things like that to lift some of the graphite out. So it looks like it's a little dark right now, but when we go back over and lift some of that graphite out, we'll actually be able to see that it's going to be gradual. Right? And this brush, as you can see from the bristles, has a lot of flexibility, and I typically use this when I want to carry cover some areas, as opposed to the small brush I was using prior for fine details. So I'm going to hit that jawline again, right? Smooth, smooth, and notice I'm just using my middle finger or whatnot. My wrist is propped up, so I'm not actually smudging my artwork. A lot of times I will use or utilize a sheet of paper, even glass or something like that I can see through, to protect my work or whatnot. But you can easily go back and erase, with a good eraser. So this is the chamois I was telling you about, car chamois. We're going to go back and smooth that out. And now you see how it kind of lifted some of the graphite. I wish I would have shown the actual how much graphite it lifted up. But as you can see, it lifted up some graphite. Always better to work lighter and get gradually darker, because we can go right back in. Now looking at this little contrast on the side of that nose, just to give it more depth, more tone, right? And then we'll come right back in with the brush or stump and smooth that on out, everything we just added, because we don't want harsh lines. As you can see here, my trusted blending stump. So, and we're looking at, don't be afraid. A lot of times I talk to people and they say, well, man, I'm not, it doesn't look that good because I'm starting this. And I'm like, no artwork looks good. Like this looks very, very bad. This is very rough right now, because we have to trust the process. We have the techniques. We understand the techniques. So we have to trust the process and just keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. And that's what your sketchbook is for. Your sketchbook is to prepare you to actually learn about all of the techniques you're going to utilize in a piece. So when you're looking at a piece, what do you want to get out of this piece? How do you make this piece come across and come alive? And those are the techniques you're going to be working at in your sketchbook or whatnot, okay? Art supplies, I'll be doing a thing on art supplies. You can do a lot of stuff, get very creative, cheap art supplies. I'll even be actually selling art supplies. I have a website I just created or whatnot. So I really just started back drawing during COVID. Last year, I didn't have COVID, of course, but just, I was working from home and just to occupy time. I hadn't drawn anything in like 10 years or whatnot. So, but just right now, I'm very addicted to it right now, and just trying to make, I guess, the best I can of a skill set I have. And just learning and practicing different techniques to get better and better. And as I say, as you embark on this journey with me, you'll see that these, I think within a year or two, or even more, what you're seeing now will be paled in comparison to what I'll be doing at that time, because I'm always consistently thinking about new techniques and learning different techniques. So as you can see, it looks like a harsh outline on the face, but notice what we did. We went right back at some gradation. You see that? Add the gradation to it and smooth it on out with that blending stump. So we don't want to have any harsh outlines. And just take your time. So we're going to do a light time skip here, right? As you can see, we're just going in with more contrast, more shading, more darkness. Don't be afraid of the dark, all right? A lot of people are afraid to go dark. The most difficult images I find are the ones that are the lightest, because they require the lightest touch. But sometimes when people draw, they draw too light. Just be accustomed to drawing what you're seeing. Have it in your mind's eye what you're actually seeing. And just, go for it. That's what the eraser is for. You can always go back, and you have different types of erasers. You have the typewriter eraser. The one I use is a brand from Arteza. And it's pretty good. It's very soft and pliable, and you can lift out things very gradually. So I love using that. I use that like a lot of areas I want to really pull up some graphite, but I don't want to go too harsh. Sometimes I found my Tombow Mono Zero eraser is a bit too harsh, so I don't want to use that. I'll use my typewriter eraser. Of course, you can use regular erasers. You can also use your kneadable erasers, right? But you don't really want to. The more you start learning and practicing techniques, you start to know what is applicable for what you're trying to do. What is the desired result you're trying to achieve, and what you need to do to get that result. Okay. So as you can see here, we're going a little darker on the hair strands and things like that, because we're going to go right back with it with an actual eraser, and we can add some highlights and give it that sheen and that shine. Okay. And look at the no harsh outline with the forehead. See, I just took the brush and went above it. Right? So we want to make sure we have the actual detail, and then we can go back with the actual eraser and start adding highlights. As you can see, my Tombow Mono Z eraser, this is the flat one. And we just start adding some highlights to it. Working on the collar a bit. And like I said, there go that trusted blending stuff. Like I say, don't throw them away. Utilize. Pencils, when they start getting very small, get you a pencil extender and things like that. So we're going to be talking about this. It's like I say, it's an actual journey. We're going to be talking about everything you can, the best places to buy materials, how to use materials, how to be creative if you don't have a budget or whatnot, if you're not sponsored, anything like that, what you can do to actually make yourself better, more proficient with what you have. Okay, so right now we're just going through, we're adding some texture to make the clothing in the clothing article look like it has texture. So we're going through, we're lightening up, and we go back over it with some more graphite and things like that. We just want to give it tonality. You want tone. You want to see that gradation. So another time skip. This artwork actually took me probably about 2.5 hours. So I could have taken a lot more time and made it a lot more detailed, but you know, I promised myself I was going to try to upload a video and commit to giving you guys a video, at least one video per week. If you noticed, I did some stitching with a white charcoal pencil. You're probably wondering what that was, and that right there is the actual typewriter eraser. But you're probably wondering what that eraser was, that pencil was. That was a charcoal pencil. It's a white charcoal. And then once you actually highlight it, it'll be too bright. Just go back over it with the dry brush. You go back with the dry brush, move some of that graphite on top of it, and it turns gray, so it looks like the actual stitching. So now I'm just going through with some kneadable eraser and just doing some highlight action. You know, going through and making sure that my highlights and things like that pop. Like I said, I could have took a lot more time on this, but you know, I think it was a good attempt. 2.5 hours trying to push through. And for Mr. Thumbs Up, and like I said, for the most part, I appreciate you guys. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Also, our giveaways. Last month's winner was Brittany XOXO. She requested that I draw Mike Tyson for her. I did, so I'll send that out, ship to you guys. So in the comment section, when I ask, the first person to reply, it's that easy. You don't have to pay for shipping or anything. I'll ship it off to you guys. Later, be safe.